Hey, creative souls, writers, word witches. Do you ever feel like Mercury retrograde is getting in your way? That it slows you down? There are ways to embrace that energy and make it work for you in your writing practice. In this video, I'll be talking about how you can use the Mercury retrograde in Leo, which happens on July 17th, to do just that. And I've used information from a book that I have called the Mercury Retrograde book. It's by Yasmin Boland and Kim Farnell. And I will put the name of that and the author's names in the description so you can check it out if you want to. Mercury retrograde gets a bad rap, I think. It gets blamed for all sorts of things. And I think what we need to do is accept and embrace the fact that it happens. It happens 4 times a year. And each time it happens, it lasts for 3 weeks, with a ramp up and a ramp down on either end of it, or vice versa, depending on how you want to interpret it. So it's a big energetic part of our lives. And while Mercury doesn't really literally spin backwards, it slows way down. And in addition to fouling up communications between people, technology, it can also really make us feel like we're just slogging through quicksand. Unless, as I said, we find ways to acknowledge it and embrace it. And then when we look at the sign that Mercury is retrograding in, it can give us even more information about maybe why we're experiencing what we are and what we can do about it. And in particular, in our writing lives. So with Mercury retrograde in Leo, we might feel a little bit of a tug of war because Leo is a fire sign. Leo wants to go and do and be seen. But because it's in a Mercury retrograde, or vice versa, the Mercury retrograde is in it, that fiery energy that we might have is feeling slowed down, like something is holding us back. So this can lead to some frustration unless we do a little bit of a head shift. If your writing life feels this way right now, like you're revved up and you want to get going, but things just aren't going quite the right way. And keep in mind, we're just getting started with it. We've just entered it on July 17th. Or will be if I get this up the day before when I'm recording it. So there's been a lead up to it, so you might already be feeling it, and then we'll really get into it over the next 3 weeks. So I think first thing to do is slow down your expectations for yourself. And again, I'm speaking specifically in terms of your writing. And just be okay with revising and editing and going over old things that you've done already. So this isn't a great time for surging ahead with new things, because Mercury is about right? Revisiting, reworking, rewriting, reconsidering. And Boland and Farnell say that Mercury retrograde in Leo might give us a sense that we're doing big things in the world because of Leo's boldness. It might feel like you're on fire in some ways, but it could really be that you're just simply following this strong urge that you have, and you may not get much traction. The cool thing though is part of this fiery energy, it might present itself as this brilliant new idea that you have, or maybe a bunch of new ideas. So I would say don't ignore them, write them down, keep them safe, claim them as yours, but just avoid pursuing them in the moment until this energy starts moving forward again, if you can. If you're a writer who writes for a living and other people are depending on whatever it is you're working on, then yes, we have to find ways to push through, and we can do that. I was a professional copywriter for a while, and a deadline's a deadline. It doesn't give a shit what's going on in the cosmos or what you're feeling inside or how well or not well you slept the night before, right? So there are ways to push through, but if we don't have to, it's good to just be kind to what's going on around us and within us. So right now is a really good time to take a fake it till you make it approach. And so just keep going, and just accept the fact that you might not get as far as you normally would or as you would like, just for a while. They also say that this Mercury retrograde could bring about a kind of maybe tendency to show off. And so don't do that, because usually when people show off, it's because they're covering some kind of insecurity, right? We don't need to show off and be obnoxious about it to be seen. And that's where that fake it till you make it attitude I just mentioned comes into play. That said though, I would say do let yourself shine. Let people know what you're up to, what you're working on. And if it feels like the right thing, share your ideas, but only if it feels like the right thing. Because I think if we share too many details about a project we're working on, it can really take the fire out of the motivation to write it, because we just talk it to death. So figure out where that line is for you. And if you share ideas, make sure it's with people who you can trust, people who are going to support you and not tell you it's a dumb idea. How are you going to write a story about that? Don't share your ideas with people who respond to you in that way. They don't deserve to know. You might want during this time with this Leo energy and wanting to be seen, you might want to attend some public open mics to read your work. And if you're uncomfortable with the thought of that, if you've never done it before, maybe go to one just to see what it's like and just sit there and listen. If you feel like it, take your story or a piece from your novel along with you, and then while you're there, if you feel like, oh yeah, this is a good crowd, they're kind and supportive, which they usually are, it's been my experience, then you might get up and read. If you're at one and you find it is not kind and supportive, then don't read your work and maybe even leave, because who wants to be around that? Right? Here's what this Mercury retrograde is good for. Thinking about how to develop your creative ideas. So brainstorming, writing things down, making plans. This is great for that. Approaching your creativity with a high degree of playfulness. So just have fun with it. Don't be so serious. And as I said earlier, returning to a project that's been sitting, or maybe even one that you've abandoned. Because like I said earlier, this is a great time to reconsider, revisit, redo, rework. So you might find some gem inside this project that you've abandoned that you see now with some perspective after some time has passed, that there actually is something in there, and that's why you started it in the first place. According to Boland and Farnell, love issues can also heat up with a Mercury retrograde in Leo. But because I'm here to talk about writing, let's think about this in terms of writing. So say you are a romance writer, or maybe it's something you've wanted to do and you just haven't taken the plunge yet. This might be a good time to do it, especially if you've been dabbling and you have some things already in the works. Same goes for erotica. Maybe it's something you've wanted to do. You've thought it would be fun to write erotica. And I'll tell you, erotica fans are so uber faithful to their authors. Maybe you shied away from doing it because you don't want people in your life, whether personally or professionally, to know that you write those kinds of stories. Well, I have one word for you: pseudonym. That's it. Do it. It'll be fun, and it'll be your little secret. Maybe you have a love scene. Maybe you don't write romance or erotica, but you have a love scene in a novel that you're working on, and you haven't been sure how to approach it, or you haven't liked the way it's turned out so far. Now might be a great time to go back to it and rework it and see what you come up with. Or maybe you have a love or a romantic relationship in your novel that's kind of a subplot that you haven't been sure how to make it align or let it unravel in ways that might be meaningful and still stay true to the story. Now might be a good time to go back and think about that. This Mercury retrograde is also good for being generous. So compliment other writers. We need to support each other, not tear each other down. If someone shares their work with you and doesn't ask for feedback, if all they want is to give it life and breath and have another set of human eyes on their words that are not theirs, just read it and think of it as an honor that they have trusted you with their words. And of course, a compliment is always, always welcome. If you find a thing or two in it that you like, let them know, but don't critique unless they specifically ask for it. So, lovely writers, get ready to slow down your expectations. Progress is not always made by moving full steam ahead in a linear fashion. Progress is made by doing and experimenting, then circling back, doubling back, rechecking, rethinking, and ironing out wrinkles. There's an Italian phrase that I learned, and I live by it. It is festina lente, and what that means is, translated, make haste slowly. So it's about slow, measured pace, thoughtful pace. And that's what I recommend for you always, and especially right now. Sending you mad writing mojo. Happy writing.